in a kind of metaphorical sense. In another sense, I suppose you could argue the opposite. You could argue that they are helping to cause the collapse of civilization, and in helping to cause the thank you Tapio Kiviniemi, kiitos oikeasti, they are helping to cause the collapse of civilization, and in helping to cause the collapse of civilization, they are helping to prevent a situation in which too many of us, because we are so rich and we are in such an evolutionary mismatch, end up with misfirings and maladaptive desires and don't want to have any children. And so you could argue that this cycle, this collapse of civilization is necessary for the survival of humanity. If it doesn't happen, if you don't have these spiteful mutants destroying humanity and bringing it back down to a level of harsh Darwinian selection, then eventually you would get to a situation rather like in Mouse Utopia, where people were in such an evolutionary mismatch that their sexuality nobody's sexuality developed properly, and therefore they didn't have children, or that they were just in this zoo basically, and therefore they just didn't feel a desire to have children. And intelligent people in particular, it seems that once intelligent people are more sensitive to the environment, and once they get to a very high level of comfort, for some reason they seem to rationalize everything, including when religion is taken away, which it does go away when you're low in stress, when you're at a certain level of comfort, and so in comparison to the level of genetic religiousness you have, and so if you make people too comfortable, then they won't, unless they're religious totally for genetic reasons, then they stop wanting to have children if they don't believe in God, and so consequently it could be argued that they are performing a good task in hastening the collapse of civilization back to Darwinian's strong selection levels before it gets too irracinated and deviant to be able to cope. So you could argue in that sense that they are the same species and they are operating almost at a bizarre group selected level, and that these cycles help to save humanity. And ultimately, the important thing is the future of humanity itself.